Happy New Year and welcome to Follow the Action. We started up our show as a podcast in 2020. We've been downloaded in over 2,000 cities, over 60 countries, in all 50 states. We have been the fastest growing podcast, now also available on our YouTube channel. Also Follow the Action of the year 2020. And the reason is quite simple. We do not have experts that are playing experts on television. We have the legends and the icons and the pillars of the sports betting industry for the last many decades. The reason our guys have to make a living off what they do, it's why they're the best, it's why they've been the best. And let's start with no better legend than there is from the city of brotherly love, fighting out of Philadelphia, Steve Maltepes, the Philly Godfather. He made the lines for the first UFC event. He's been known as the best combat sports handicapper in the world since. He is Mr. Joey Oddessa. And when you talk about legends, there is none bigger and there is none better. And he's a good man, and he probably has a glass of wine with him right now. He is known as the Philly Rooster. He is the host of Swing It and Ding It. You can find on iHeartRadio and iTunes, Apple. He is Mr. Harry Mays, the icon, the radio man from Philadelphia. They've been called the future of sports betting. It is Matt Maltepes of the College Kids and the man they know simply as the 8-Ball. Philly Godfather, we are entering 2021. You ready to go, my man?
Yeah, we're ready to fire. Never been more ready. NFL playoffs, college basketball, NBA. Let's get to business, John.
Let's get the business right now, and we'll start up. We're going to go over every single NFL playoff game for this weekend. There are 6. We're going to go over the college football finale between the Roll Tide and Oklahoma and Ohio State. Thank goodness it wasn't Oklahoma because I'm from Texas. That would be a bad thing. From Ohio State. We're also going to hit UFC coming up and golf. Mr. Harry Mays. There's none better in the world about golf, handicapping golf to Harry Mays. We will hit it all tonight. First, starting off with on your sports betting screen of 141 and 142, we have the Indianapolis Colts. They are a plus 245 going against the Bills, who are minus 300 as far as the money line. And thank goodness we have Dave Mason from Bet Online. Now, if you're watching on video, Dave has a name up instead of a picture, because what we understand is he's a supermodel wanted by thousands of women for child support. So Dave cannot be pictured, but he is the man from Bet Online, Mr. Dave Mason. Dave, what do you have on this first game as far as the lines, the over-under, and where the money's going?
Yeah, the Bills are currently 6-point favorites. The total's at 51. It's kind of interesting action here. 84% of the bettors are on the Bills, but 63% of the cash is on the Colts. It's getting a ton of volume. By far the biggest bet game on the board, which, it's the first game on the board, which makes sense. But, I mean, it's just really high volume. And a lot of that is because got some sharp action, some significant volume on the Colts at +7. So it is now +6 Colts. So we also have some sharp action on under 52. Like I said, that's now 51. Over under, the cash is split 50-50, but 75% of the bettors are on the over.
Rooster, I know that you have a leaning on this game, a strong leaning on this game. What have you got?
Well, this game's interesting to me because I saw that the sharp money was on the Colts. Anytime you see the line go down midweek, you know that it's sharp money, especially like Dave said, when most of the bets are on the favorite. But in this case, I disagree with the sharp money. I mean, when you look at it, the Bills, one thing I look for in the playoffs, when you're healthy and you're hot. Because, I mean, we even know from the Giants when they won it all, they came in there, they were playing mediocre most of the year. The last 3 weeks of the season, they were the number 2 offense in the league. And this year, the Bills have done a couple things that are amazing. Number one, they've covered 8 straight. That's only the 4th time in 40 seasons that teams come into the playoffs covering 8 in a row. They're also the leading scorer in the league from weeks 9 to 17. To me, this is the hot hand. And I've liked the Bills all year. I mean, I honestly think the Bills are the best team in the league. I think they're better than Kansas City. They're better than Tampa Bay. I think Green Bay would be the best matchup for them. But I like the Bills here a lot. I'm laying 6. I'm actually sitting in the sidelines right now because I see the sharp money coming in. If I see the 6s start to disappear, I'm going to be on the phone with Dave quick. But Yeah, I'm definitely laying 6 here, probably some 6.5 before game time.
Rooster makes a strong case, and Mr. Swing It and Ding It host, Harry Mays, what I understand is you are disagreeing with your fellow Philly native here. What is your take on this?
Yeah, I hope Rooster likes the taste of Boone's Farm because I think that's what he might be drinking after this game on Saturday afternoon. I know he's right. The hot hand, Buffalo's on a 6-game win streak, and they got the hottest quarterback maybe outside of Mahomes and Mr. Rogers. But this is the playoffs. It's a different deal. They're not going to have the Bills Mafia in force there, cheering them on, and that what would be a crazy environment. Indianapolis got a good offense. They're balanced. Taylor's running the ball really well. Hines is a nice change-up back and catches a lot of stuff out of the backfield. Phillip Rivers is a cagey guy. He's got a lot of experience. I know he's known for maybe throwing a pick when he shouldn't, but I think with with Indianapolis's defense, they're a good defense. They can roll some coverages to Diggs and keep this game close enough. I like the 6.5. 6. I'll take 6 as well. I'd prefer it at 7, but I will take 6.5 with the Colts.
Well, let's go to the legend that I talked about earlier to break the tie. Mr. Philly Godfather, you the man here. Which side do you lean? You lean with your fellow Philly Rooster or with your fellow radio guy, Harry Mays?
If I go against Rooster, I'm going to hear it for the rest of my life. Oh, my God, it's going to be tough. Well, you guys know I love this Bills team. I mean, it's no secret. I gave them out at the beginning of the year to win their division, AFC Conference, the Super Bowl 30-1. I bet they're over in their season win totals. Bet them to make the playoffs. This was the team that we were focused on. This was the team that we buried before the season started, and we thought they had a chance of, going very deep in the playoffs. And over the last 8 weeks, like Rooster said, they're the highest scoring team in football. I think they're scoring 10 more points a game more than the Kansas City Chiefs. They're averaging right around 38 points per game from week 9 to 17. It seems like McDermott's team gelling at the right time. On offense, their yard per play metric is through the roof over recent play. It went from 6.1 to 7.3. Yards per pass attempt has gone from 7.8 to 9.1. I think it's second best, only behind Tampa Bay over recent play. And their defensive metrics early in the season, they weren't looking great, but over recent play have been lights out. They're allowing 4.8 opponent yards per play and only 5 yards per pass attempt, which is one of the best in the league. This one's a tough one for me. The betting public scares me a little bit. They're all going to be all over Buffalo here. Last I checked, right around 75% of the money, like Dave said, a lot of the money's coming. A lot of the tickets are coming in on Buffalo here. They're a young team, a little undisciplined. They're 27th in the NFL in penalties per game. And I'd probably be all over the Bills here, but this Colts team doesn't turn the ball over. They're second in the NFL this year in the turnover differential. I haven't bet the game yet. I'm leaning Colts. This line's going to be going back and forth. There's going to be opposition. There's going to be sharp money at 5.5 and 6. And we saw the 7 disappear as soon as it hit that key number of 7. I haven't bet the game yet. So as of right now, you guys are going to have to listen to Rooster and Harry on this one.
Then let's go to the next game that is on Saturday's schedule. Is the 4:45 p.m. game. It is game number 143 and 144 in your sports book. And it is the Los Angeles Rams behind Mr. Aaron Donald. They are currently on the money line plus 151. This could have changed. I got this earlier today. Playing the Seattle Seahawks, who are minus 175. Dave Mason from BetOnline, where do you have the odds and the numbers and the money going here?
Yeah, the money line now is 175. With that BetOnline, 175 Seahawks take back plus 155 on the Rams. Spread is currently plus the Rams plus 3.5. The total's at 42.5. 52% of the actions on the Rams and the points. 62% of the bettors are on the Seahawks over under. 78% of the cash is on the under, and 66% of the bettors are on the under. We do have some sharp action on the Rams at plus 4.
And 8-ball, from what I understand, you have a strong lean on this game. What is that lean?
Yeah, we lean the Rams plus 3.5, plus 4 in this one. It's a division game. These two have matched up earlier this year. I think the first one was a 7-point game, and the last one, I think Goff hurt his finger, had to be popped back in mid-game. So Jared Goff, he's questionable for this one. They said he's been practicing throwing the ball around. So even if he doesn't play this one, I think the backup played well last week against Arizona, got them some points on the board. think it's going to be a close game. They have the number 3 defense against the run. They're number 1 against the pass, the Rams. I think it's too many points for them in this one. Division game, I think it's going to be tight. I think you take the points here.
Philly Godfather?
Yeah, like 8-Ball said, the game opened to what, 4.5, Dave. It's down to 3 in some shops. If it starts to get any lower, there's an opportunity to actually middle this game. But Pete Carroll's team is top 10 in the turnover differential this year. They're at home. They got the better, healthier quarterback. I did see Goff throw the ball around in some videos today. He looks like he's going to be okay. But Seattle's tough to beat. Russell Wilson's always tough to beat. Seattle beat the Rams 2 weeks ago by double digits at home. And they avenged their, week 5 loss when they lost the Rams 23-16. But in that game, if you remember, the Seahawks turned the ball over 3 times. So they had a great chance of winning that game as well. Man, this one's a tough one. But the Rams, in my opinion, have the better nucleus overall. They got the better offensive line, defensive line. The coaching's about the same, even though I think I give the slight edge to McVay, even though Carroll has won a Super Bowl. The Rams +4, it's a great price. It's the right side here. I think Seahawks find a way to win, but I would take the points with the Rams here.
Matt, are you going with Russell Wilson on this? The Seahawks?
I haven't bet it yet, but I do like the Rams. Golf, they say he's looking pretty good in the warm-ups. This defense is serious business. Russ is going to have a hard time. Like before, we've seen PGF was talking about the couple turnovers he had previously. It's going to be a tough game for Russ, despite him being one of my favorite quarterbacks in the NFL. This Rams defense, that defensive line is mean. I really do like the Rams +4, +3.5. I could definitely see the Seahawks winning and his game landing on 3, and having that 3.5 would be big. I do like the Rams +3.5, +4.
Yeah,
Rooster, how's the wine going?
It's going well, John. I mean, I thought you were going to send me something of a little more quality, but yeah, it's pretty good. You know,
I'm from Texas. We have 2 kinds, red and white. That's all we got. Red and white. That's it. We don't know much about the fine stuff in Texas. We do know this. We do know the Philadelphia Eagles threw a game last week, and that's all you guys from Philadelphia should be held responsible for this, by the way. So we're going to go. We got Harry Mays and the Philly Rooster, I understand, are at odds again on this. I'm at odds because the Philadelphia Eagles threw that freaking football game. I think the New York Giants fans should be mad that their team only won 6 games. Not
exactly
putting a 13 quarterback in.
Yeah, well, why are you talking just about the Eagles and Giants and not about the Cowboys, John?
Yeah.
Cowboys suck.
You conveniently left them out of the conversation, huh?
Yeah, they served up a turd on Sunday, man. I'll tell you.
Oh, like that's any different from any other Sunday they've had since 1996.
I think the last time they won a Super Bowl, the hottest car on the street was a Buick Rietta. I think that was the hot car on the road that year.
No, it was a Fiero.
I can't say anything. I'm a Jets fan. I'm just mute.
Yeah, but you guys are supposed to suck. Every year our owner says we're going to win the Super Bowl.
1969. God.
Man landed on the moon. Game 145 and 146. We got the GOAT, the Tom Brady of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And we got the young kid who is a stud from the Washington football team, Chase Young, calling out the GOAT. Said they're waiting on Tom. Right now, the Bucs on the money line are -415. Washington football team is +327. Dave Mason from Bet Online. Where do you have the odds and the money going?
Yeah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are currently 8-point favorites. Money lines -415. Take back +335, and the total is at 45. We're going to be Washington football team fans here at Bet Online. Can't wait. 75% of the money and 68% of the bettors are on Tampa Bay. For the over-under, 89% of the money and 72% of the bettors are on the under. We have some sharp on under 46.
So, Philly Godfather, before I get to the people that have disputed this, which they disputed the first game, Harry Mays and the Philly Rooster, what is your take on this, the Washington football team, since your Eagles and my Cowboys are not in either one of these games?
Well, we talked about this Washington football team before the season started. We went over in their season win totals. I didn't expect them to win the division, but we talked about how they're going to be much improved. Their defense was going to be lights out this year. I'm actually hoping this line keeps going up higher and higher. I think it opened 7. I'm seeing some 8.5s now out in the market. The public's going to be all over Tom Brady here, and I think I got a shot here with the ugly duckling with the Washington football team. I'm hoping it gets to 9. If it gets to 10, that's even gravy for me. I mean, home team at home getting 10 points with this type of defense. They've given up the least amount of points in the NFL this year. I think they're ranked second in opponent yards per pass attempt metric, and they're top 10 in opponent yards per rush attempt metric. Then you have the fact that Mike Evans is banged up, and even if he does play, he's not going to be 100%. Riverboat Ron at home. Then you have the fact that Tampa's 0-4 straight up this year. Anytime they play the defense, they're ranked in the top 10 in overall defensive efficiency. I like my chances here. I'm going to be on an island here. Me and Rooster probably with the Washington football team, but I think they can stay within that Vegas point spread.
Well, let's go to Gilligan on an island because he may be the odd man out here, and that is Mr. Harry Mays, who may be disagreeing with the Philly Godfather and the legend of Philly Rooster. Alex Smith looks like he might not be that healthy. I live here in Washington, D.C. area. I'm reading all in the morning sports pages. What is your take on this, Harry?
Yeah, I don't like being on an island, opposite these two guys, but I have to here. It's pretty simple to me. I mean, whether it's Smith or Heineke or a combination thereof, this offense is just too limited to me. I mean, they've got a really good defensive front. We all know that. Chase Young needs to shut his mouth, though. He's a rookie. You don't call out the GOAT when really you shouldn't be in the playoffs either. No NFC East team should be in the playoffs. I think we can all agree on that. The Bucs are on a 4-game win streak. They got a really good run defense. Of course, Washington's really good against the pass, but it comes down to this. Ron Rivera is a really conservative coach. They have a limited offense. They kick too many field goals. In the end, they're going to be trading touchdowns for field goals into that fourth quarter, and you do that too many times, you can't cover 8 points.
Rooster, he's making a strong case here. What do you say?
I say I'm going to ship him my Boone's Farm, and I'm going back to Opus 1. This is an easy one. I mean, when you look at this team, first of all, I can tell you right now, Tom Brady would give up a big portion of that $500 million fortune to switch teams because this is the worst matchup for Tampa Bay in the first round. I mean, when you look at the records, of course, you're going to love Tampa Bay, but he hates getting hit. This guy has hated getting hit for the last 15 years. Belichick's been protecting him. I mean, they got to give him the greatest offensive lines in the world or he basically gives up. And I've seen it happen. I mean, everybody calls him the GOAT. I'm not ready to say that yet. But, I mean, he is a crybaby. He's going to get hit once or twice in this game, and his whole demeanor and attitude is going to change. He's 0-4 in prime time this year. Washington has a 26.2% pressure rate. It's number 2 in the league. I mean, there's always pressure on the quarterback. Tom Brady hates pressure, and his release isn't as fast as it used to be. He's no Aaron Rodgers anymore. I mean, when you look at Young, Sweat, Payne, and Allen coming at you every single down, and they only have to rush 4. This is a tough team. It's a really bad matchup for Tampa Bay. I would not be shocked if Washington wins this game. They're playing with house money. They got no pressure at all. All the pressure is on Brady. So I like Washington a lot here. Plus 8.5 is golden. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on the money line just for the sake of having a little fun.
Rooster brings up some good points. And the only team in the NFC who's given up less points, I think, are the Rams. And like I said, anytime they play a top 10 defense, they're 0-4 straight up. But having them win outright, I think Rooster must be on his 5th or 6th glass of wine. I don't know about that.
That's nothing for me. Don't worry about it.
He's like Andre.
No.
So, 8-Ball, are you on the Boone's Farm as well? Do you agree with Mr. Rooster here? Or are you with Harry Mays?
Nah, I lean Tampa here. I don't think they can keep up scoring wise. They can settle for field goals. Tampa has a great run defense. If they can't run the ball, Alex Smith can't pass 10 yards. I just don't see them keep it up with the firepower of Tampa.
Let's go to a guy who does like Boone's Farms, and that's Mr. Joey Oddessa. So, Joey, they are back. I hate to give out that secret to you, but you like cheap wine. It's something that we all know about. I'm just kidding, Joey. Actually, I'm not kidding. UFC. UFC is on ABC coming up in a couple weeks. Got some big matchups. The main event is going to be a featherweight matchup. Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar. Holloway is 21-6, fighting Calvin Kattar, who's 22-4. Dave Mason from Bet Online. Have you got odds on this yet?
Of course, man. We opened the odds earlier than anybody. So Max Holloway's minus 151 to take back Qatar is plus 131. We have some early sharp action on Qatar at plus 145 or better, but we think that's going to go down. I already know one sharp guy who's just waiting for that to keep crawling down and can unload on Holloway. So I think we're going to have some late sharp action on Holloway once it goes down too far.
Well, let's go to that sharp guy. What do you say, Mr. Joy?
I say, well, first off, UFC on ABC, first event on ABC, which is great. You know, what better network to put the UFC on outside of ESPN? If you remember way back, JBL, you were probably in college, 1978, ABC's Wide World of Sports, thrill of victory, agony of defeat. Now they're bringing the UFC to the platform. I think it's going to be just a home run. But Max Holloway and this matchup, Max Holloway and Qatar, this is not a matchup that's going to end quickly. It should not end quickly. I like Max Holloway here. It opened, like Dave said, opened $1.35, went up to like minus 200. People saw value. I don't know what they saw there. But, you know, when you look at these guys, look, Max lost 3 of his last 4. And I could take numbers and make any, you know, liars figure and figures lie. I could make numbers to make things look appealing. And if you look at Max, you say, well, he lost 3 of his last 4. Well, I mean, Qatar, there's levels to this stuff. And the opposition, Qatar's opposition is not even close to what Max has fought since going all the way back to 2016, really. Qatar's beat Jeremy Stevens a couple bouts ago, and Stevens got as many losses as all of Max's opponents combined back to 2016. What I'm saying is Max Holloway just got beat by Volkanovski. You know, Max won the first 2 rounds. I thought Volkanovski won the next 3. People said Volkanovski, that Max got robbed in that fight. I don't know. I think the champion gets the better of the decision if the round's close. Anyways, I think Max belongs around minus 220, minus 250. And Qatar, you know, being from Massachusetts, like, you know, that East Coast, Northeast guys, they back those guys. You know, that was going all the way back to when Joe Lazan fought. So I could see why these guys, well, Lazan is still fighting, I think, but I could see why these guys are piling on Qatar. But I think Qatar's going to have to knock him out to win. Now, Qatar did look good against the Dagestan. I think it was the Dagestani kid. Let me see here. Yeah, he looked good against the Dagestani kid. He won the 3rd round. But you know what? The Dagestani kid still won. And that looking good in defeat doesn't sell these fights, or he doesn't put me on the side. I think Max Holloway wins this fight. And more than likely it goes 5 rounds full.
And just to note, we're going to come back with the other 3 UFC games, the other 3 NFL games for this Sunday, and also the college football finale. But we stay with UFC for now. Another fight that Joey had put out on social media that has a big lean on. David Zawada, the German, that's 17-5, goes against Ramazan Emeev, the Russian southpaw, who's 19-4. Dave Mason from BetOnline, where's the money on this fight?
The odds are currently minus 255 on Emeev, and Zawada is plus 215. It's pretty, or there's not a whole lot of action right now. It's pretty 50-50, so there's really no big, no big, no decision as of yet.
Yep, Joey, you had a good feeling about this fight. What was that?
Yeah, I rarely do I bet this stuff this early because a lot of these bouts, I mean, especially in this era, they get canceled with the COVID and stuff. But I bet Ramazan Emeev here for a couple reasons. One, I think he's gonna win the fight. I think that the German kid is tough, but the German kid came into the UFC as a late notice replacement. He fought Danny Roberts. I think he did he win the split decision there? Regardless, there's levels to this stuff. And Emeev, I believe Emeev should be minus 350, minus 400. Now people are looking at Zawada and going, wow, he beat I don't want to say he beat the other Nurmagomedov. Abdullah Nurmagomedov. You'd say, wow, Nurmagomedov, and you have, the word association. He's Khabib's cousin, trained in the same gym as Khabib's father, had those guys, the same stable. But if you look at, help me out, JBL here.
You're talking about his cousin here. You're talking about him.
Yeah, there's too much Kappa Jabba beneath.
You know what it is?
Forget about it. You can't remember.
No, you barely speak English. How do you think you're possibly going to get through all these Russian names?
Guys got me on the
Kappa
first show
Jabba
here,
Jabba Jabba Jabba.
Blame it on COVID.
Zawada. Here we go. I'm so nervous about these names that I fumbled. Zawada beat Nurmagomedov, but this Nurmagomedov, he came over from the PFL, and like I said, there's levels to this stuff. And he was not a world beater when he came over from the PFL. He had a draw against the kid from the Serbian kid, who's got 10 losses on his record. Granted, it was only a 2-round fight, but Ameev belongs a bigger favorite here. I think people are looking at it saying, well, Ameev is from Dagestan, Russian, and this Zawada beat the Russian. But I just don't see it. I think that Ameev beats him. I think he beats him convincingly. He's not a really impressive fighter. He's a grinder. I think he's going to take this kid and he's going to grind him out for 3 rounds.
What nationality is he, Joe? Yeah,
Ameev, Russian.
Because I knew some girl in high school. Her name was Jenny Amagetov, and I never knew what her nationality was. So I'm just trying to figure it out.
As long as she didn't speak Mexican, we're okay.
First of all, I went to high school with Steve, and that was a guy.
Wait. Now I know you're lying because I never went to high school. Her name was Jenny Amagetov.
See what you've done, Joey? This is all your fault.
It's the wine. It's not me. It's Rooster.
Rooster got you drunk by drinking wine.
I think so.
Hey, Joey, real quick, not real quick, because I want to at least hit on this before we go to Mr. Harry Mays. Talking about a little golf in Hawaii this weekend. Conor McGregor, Poirier. What do you got? Just real quick thoughts on that fight.
Well, Conor opened like -175, -180 with you guys, right, Dave?
Yeah, about that. I mean, he's up to what, -275 right now.
And you know what? I say this about this Conor McGregor, and you look back and it spelled it out for me. This Conor, if those UK and those European guys could bet Ricky Hatton and think he's going to beat Floyd Mayweather, I'm not surprised that they're pumping this price up on Conor. Maybe it hits it might hit -300, -320 by fight time with all that money. I won't look. I'm not going to lay that price on Conor. I think that Dustin, same fight that Conor did knock Dustin out, that starched him, back in, 2016 or something, would beat Dustin. But that's not the same Dustin Poirier. It's not.
That's 145. That was 145 too. Poirier's a different fighter at 155.
I think so. I think he's healthier, and as far as the fights with Nurmagomedov, I mean, look, Dustin got owned by him, but Nurmagomedov was doing all right with Conor on the feet. He busted him, he staggered him a couple times with that jab. I think that Conor's a great fighter. I think he's a great promoter, self-promoter. He had that amazing run that made everybody buy into, the vision. If you can see it, it can happen. I'm a firm believer in that kind of thing, like The Secret and, like willing things to happen, law of attraction. But you know what, Conor? He's made that money. He made that Floyd money, and he's going to make a lot of money here again. But retirement, coming back. I think Dustin Poirier's got 0 to lose in this fight. That doesn't mean that, I don't want to put you on a live dog that won't win, because, that happens a lot. Look at the Bellator organization. Those favorites ran like last 5 events. They ran like 20-1 on the main card. But anyways, not to get off track as I always do, but I think that I think that Poirier's the play here. I like Dustin Poirier.
Well, then let's go to what it looks like a beautiful scene behind Mr. Harry Mays. I'm not sure how you do that because I can barely text with the phone, but you got the Kapalua Plantation course, looks like behind you. We've got the first event of the PGA tournament. You got Justin Thomas, the defending champion, Dustin Johnson, defending Masters champion, are in this event in Hawaii, a 42-man field. Harry, from host of the podcast Swing It and Ding It, what do you got for us in golf this week?
That's right, John. A beautiful Kapalua. It's going to be great sitting in the Northeast in 30-degree temperatures watching these guys play in beautiful Hawaii. But you mentioned 42-player field. They actually added players to this. Normally, you have to win a tournament the previous year to get invited. They wanted to make the field bigger because of COVID and so forth. So they got 42 players in, still a limited no-cut field. Par 73, so there's 5 par 5s. There are going to be a lot of low scores. I mean, these guys are going to be in the 25 to 29 under par range. So it's wide open. It's grip it and rip it. You got it. The biggest thing these guys have to deal with is wind. and adjusting to the greens. But you mentioned Dustin Johnson. He's the favorite at plus 650. Justin Thomas right behind him. John Rahm is plus 800, the third favorite. Little news on him. He's got new equipment. He changed out from TaylorMade to Callaway and the entire bag. Woods, hybrids, irons, and the putter. He has an Odyssey putter now, and the golf ball too. And word has it he shot 59 in a practice round with that equipment. So, this might not be the typical adjustment period for a guy that's just changed equipment. So you keep that in mind. And another alert here, Webb Simpson, who is one of the fifth or sixth favorite, I believe. I think he was plus 1,200 last I looked. Fade alert on Webb Simpson. He just got over COVID. He's had no practice rounds here and apparently just got to Hawaii. So I would look for him to be really slow out of the gate. In fact, I'm taking a matchup on him for the tournament. I'm taking Patrick Reed minus 125 against Webb Simpson. In light of that, I also like Patrick Reed to win. He's won here before. He's got a fantastic short game. He plays with an edge because he's created some problems both on and off the golf course, and I think he uses it as a chip on his shoulder. I like him in this spot at plus 1,600 to win. And Tony Finau, who's a guy who wouldn't be in the field because he didn't win last year. He only has one win on tour, and that was a couple of years ago in Puerto Rico. He's come up close many, many times. He's the media darling. They're all begging for him to win tournaments. Plus 2,200 for the win. I'll take a stab at that, but I really like plus 400 on the top five for Finau because he's always in and around the lead on Sundays. And then I do have a top 20 that I like. I do a lot of these top 20s, but I like them at plus money. And in a limited field, it's kind of tough to get that. But I see Lonto Griffin at plus 150. He finished 13th in this event last year, got in because he won the Houston Open, can flight the ball, really solid player. I think on the uptick, I'll take plus 150 on a top 20.
Harry, would you fade Simpson on all the matchups, like against Cantley and all those other guys?
I would definitely fade him against Cantlay. Cantlay will play well this weekend.
Yeah, because I think that's only minus 115. So
yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
All right, Harry, I just made 4 bets based on your rant right there.
Here
so
we go.
I'm going to come see you if this is.
That's the alcohol talking. That's the wine.
Oh, and Joey, I might need a Russian interpreter next time Joey does these UFC.
I had
Joey
two fights
needs
to think about. Yeah, I had 2 fights to think about, and I blew it. I just.
Hey, before we go back to the NFL, we're going to finish up with the NFL, the free Sunday games, and the college football finale. Dave Mason from BetOnline. I forgot to call on you about the golf. What did you have as far as money moving and as far as the favorites as far as BetOnline currently?
Yeah, DJ is plus 600. Justin Thomas plus 700. Rahm followed up at plus 900. The Harry's auto fade Webb Simpson, we have him down to plus 2,800. So I guess news is out on him. As far as bets and exposures right now, DeChambeau is our biggest exposure at plus 1,100, which is kind of, every tournament you're exposed on him these days. This past season, DJ, we're also exposed on him again at plus 600.
And you talk about the cold temperature, certainly not in Hawaii, but it's going to be 31 degrees when the Tennessee Titans take on the Baltimore Ravens. That's game 147 and 148 on your sports betting screen. Currently, earlier today, the Ravens were minus 180 on the money line. The Titans plus 155. Dave Mason from BetOnline, where did you have the lines and the money movement?
Yes, sir. The spread is currently Ravens minus 3.5. The money line is minus 183 on the Ravens. Take back plus 163 on the Titans. Over under 54.5 points. The public's on the Ravens. 67% of the cash and 61% of the bettors are on the Ravens. Over under, we're going to need the under. 68% of the cash is on the over. 77% of the tickets are on the over. We do have some sharp action on Titans plus 4.5.
Matt, the only hope I have as a former Texan and still consider myself a Texan, but certainly a Texan football fan, is this is our old Houston Oilers with Derrick Henry, who might be Superman. Are you taking Derrick Henry and the Titans in this?
I can't take them. I don't think their defense is good enough to go up against this Ravens offense. I think Lamar Jackson, Ingram, and Dobb, all of those guys are going to be able to rush all over this Titans team. And the Ravens, they've been undervalued all year. They've been outperforming the market against the spread. I think they're 10-6, if I'm not mistaken. They've been undervalued all year. I think I think the Ravens are going to cover this game, win this game.
Philly Godfather, you agree with that?
Man, they definitely have revenge, right? I mean, Tennessee beat them earlier in the year. They beat them last year in the playoffs as 10-point dogs. But this Titans team, they always find a way to bite me in the ass, man. Here's a team that ranks in the basement of the NFL in overall defensive efficiency. They've given up the 9th most points in the NFL this year. I think they're ranked 19th or 20th in the opposing yards per rush attempt and pass attempt metric, and 25th in opposing yards per play. But this is the type of team that says they don't care. They just say, screw you. We're going to run the ball down your throat. We're not going to turn the ball over. I actually think the Titans do have the best turnover differential in the NFL. They use Henry. If you fall behind early, you're in serious trouble because they're just going to chew away at that clock. I hate investing in teams with bad defenses, and I hate going against the college kids here. The Titans are the right side. I just hate betting against teams that can't stop a faucet. I mean, their defense is so bad, but if they jump out ahead, and Lamar, I'm not sold on Lamar Jackson. You saw what they did to him last year in the playoffs. During the playoffs, the field shrinks, everything gets more tighter. I think the Titans are the right side. I think the Titans are the right side.
Rooster, the Titans have a well-groomed coach. That means bet against them, right?
Well, that's generally my rule. And this game, I'm with Philly Godfather on this one. This one really has me perplexed because the Ravens are on fire right now. They're 5-0 against the spread, their last 5. Lamar Jackson is just unbelievable. Although he does inflate their pounding number, like I call it the ground and pound. He inflates that number because in reality, the Titans are a true running team, and I know my mind tells me Ravens here. My gut tells me Titans because I think all the money's going to be on the Ravens. But my real play here is the under. I mean, both of these teams are going to run as long as these clock keepers, what I call them, and they're idiots in the NFL. They stop the clock so much for no reason. It's absolute. Every time I bet an under, a TV goes out the window because they're constantly dying to stop the clock. Just keep the clock running, and I think we get an easy under 54.5, and 54 is a key number here.
8-ball, you going with the older or the younger generation here?
I don't really like the total on this one. I actually lean Ravens. The Titans defense has been gashed all year. They gave up 38 to Houston last week. They gave up 40-something to the Packers. I just think it's going to come down to which defense gets more stops, and I think the Ravens are going to be able to do that.
Help us out here, Harry. We got a deadlock.
Well, I don't know that defenses are going to get much stops in this game. I actually would take on a lean against the Rooster, and it's not against him, but I like the over a little bit in this game because both of these teams offensively lead the league in big plays, like plus 20s, plus 40s. They're at the top of the list. They make gash plays. And Tannehill, 3,800 plus yards. You got 33 touchdowns, only 7 interceptions. They can move the ball down the field. Tennessee can. And Baltimore likes to run it. Tennessee's defense stinks, as everybody's detailed. I would lean to the over.
Rooster, I think Harry's making it personal, man.
Yeah, give her the chip on his shoulder.
Everyone he's against me. I just doubled my bet.
Harry drank before the show. He came here looking for a fight.
Oh, I got zero alcohol Heineken beer here.
That's no fun. Next game is 149 and 150. It's a 4:45 p.m. game on Sunday afternoon. It is the Chicago Bears taking on the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are currently minus 500 on the money line. Dave Mason from Bet Online, where do you have the odds and the money?
Yeah, the Bears are 10.5-point underdogs. The money line is minus 500 on the Saints and plus 395 on the Bears, with the total sitting at 47. What do we have here? Action is very split. 51% of the cash is on the Bears. 54% of the bettors are on the Saints. Over under 64% of the cash is on the under. 58% of the bettors are on the over. Nothing sharp here at Bet Online.
And 8-Ball, I think you had a lean on this game. What was it?
Yeah, I lean Bears plus 10. We actually gave it out this week. I think they've been playing some good football lately. They put up over 30 points, 4 out of the last 5 games. So I think they'll be able to score enough points in this one to cover the 10. The Saints, meanwhile, Drew Brees hasn't been playing that great all year. So I think if Chicago can keep them, keep their offense at bay, they'll be able to stay in this game and hang within the 10.
Matt, are you with the Bears on this as well?
I do like the Bears plus 10. I haven't bet it yet, but what I do like is the over here, over 47. Mitch Trubisky, ever since he's come back, this offense has been a lot better. They've been rolling, and I think the Saints will be able to score enough in the Bears and do enough to get this over to the number at 47.
And Harry, I know you had a lean on this as well. What was yours?
Yeah, I just can't stand the Bears, but I got to take them here plus the 10. I mean, they kept this thing really close back in, I think around week 9 or 10. New Orleans had to go to overtime to win it, 26-23. Their defense, will make plays. Trubisky has been playing better since coming back. Montgomery and Robinson are legitimate weapons. And one of the things that I like about the Bears is this Cordero Patterson guy can put these guys in some short fields with his return game. That is something that I think a lot of people overlook when they're trying to handicap football. That's a big element to what this team does. I got to take the 10 in the Chicago Bears.
And Philly Godfather?
I mean, the point spread's always a great equalizer, right? But the Saints with Michael Thomas, they're just a different animal. I mean, he didn't play the first time they played the Bears, and everyone's going to go back to that game and say the Bears played a close game. They lost by 3 points, but that was in Chicago. This game's in the Dome. The Bears, they're going to be without their linebacker, Raekwon Smith. That's big to me. This line already moved 2 points. I'm seeing a bunch of 10s out there in the market. Dave, what's it at bet online? 10.5 now?
Yep, 10.5, but minus 125 on the Bears at plus 10.5.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be enough, man. Like I said, last time out, the Bears did lose by a field goal, but Thomas didn't play. I think the bookmakers here are begging for Bears money. I haven't touched the game yet or the side, but I agree with the college kids there. I think the total was a little short at 47. I like the over here. I bet it pretty big. New Orleans with Thomas can light up the board, and the Bears offense, they're averaging 30 points a game over the last 6 games since Laser started calling the plays, or the combination of Laser and Nagy. And the Bears have been known to turn the ball over at times. So I think they can easily score a combined 50 points in this one, even more. I like the over pretty big here. I haven't bet the side, but the over is definitely the play.
Rooster, are you with Harry on this?
Yeah, I hate to agree with Harry, but you got to like the Bears here a little. Now, last time Foles was the quarterback. This time it's Trubisky.
Right.
It's a totally different game.
Huge upgrade. Huge upgrade.
But Chicago's offense is on fire. I think they're going to be able to hang with these guys. And I'm not really the Saints are a 12-4 team that doesn't look like a 12-4 team to me. They really don't. And so, yeah, I'm with Harry here. I like the Bears.
So let's go to this last NFL game quick so we can get to the college football finale, and that is the Cleveland Browns. Currently are plus 211 on the money line, taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big Ben is 23-2-1 career-wise against the Cleveland Browns. Game number 151 and 152 on your sports betting screen. Dave Mason from BetOnline, where do you have the money and the odds? Dave Mason, are you there?
Yep, but I was on mute, so I was talking to myself here.
We got no audio now.
That's right. Steelers minus 260, Browns plus 220. The spread's currently the Steelers minus 6. Total is at 47. Everybody's on the Steelers. We're going to be Browns fans. Can't wait. 82% of the bettors are on the Steelers. 74% of the cash is on the Steelers. The total is pretty split. 57% of the cash is on the over. 56% of the bettors are on the under. We have some sharp action on the Steelers at minus 3.5 and minus 4.
Philly Godfather, are you with the sharp action there?
Yeah, I like Cleveland here, man. I was hoping this line kept going up. I think there was an overreaction in the market just because Stefanski ain't going to be coaching here. This ain't the same Steelers team that beat the Browns. I think it was week 5 of the season, 38-7. We've seen them lose the Washington football team, the Bills, Cincinnati, and they got lucky in the second half of that Colts game. The Colts were penalized for almost 100 yards on some fake pass interference calls. they got really lucky. The Colts turned the ball over twice in Pittsburgh. If they don't win that game, the Browns might have won the division. Last week, everyone's going to be, going back to last week and saying to themselves, well, Big Ben didn't play. Steelers only lost by 2 points. They should kill the Browns this week. That's not going to happen, man. I like the Browns here +6. I also like them. I like them on the money line a little bit as well.
Rooster, are you with the Browns?
I'm not.
Uh-oh.
Here's the problem. I agree. Stefanski's no big deal at all. And the Steelers are completely overrated. So normally I'd be all over the Browns here. But the Joel Bitonio COVID issue with him being out left guard, he's an all-pro. I mean, he basically blocks like 2 guys. When you have a 3-time all-pro offensive lineman, and this year he's going to be he's probably had one of his best years. That is a huge loss. And I agree it was an overreaction just for Stefanski, but when you lose a top offensive lineman, that is gigantic. I mean, these guys are the titans of the game. They get no credit, and you notice that's what destroyed the Eagles this year. It wasn't Wentz, and it wasn't Hurts, and it wasn't Sudfeld. It was the offensive line. They have offensive line issues, and this kid is not going to be good without a good offensive line. I'm telling you. I think this is an easy Steelers win.
Harry, you look like you're all kumbaya with Rooster here.
Yeah, I am. We're coming around together here at the end of the card. I agree with Rooster. Olivier Vernon is also out in this, and he's a 9-sack guy. Puts a lot of pressure on a big sort of lumbering quarterback like Roethlisberger. That's a big loss. Bitonio's loss cannot be overstated. Rooster gave a great detail on that. I have no faith in Cleveland. I also think missing the head coach is going to have a bigger effect on this quarterback than it otherwise would. This quarterback needs to be reined in. He needs to be, kept on between the rails, especially in a playoff game. So I think the Steelers win this game easily by a touchdown.
Yeah, Rooster and Harry's on the Steelers. Can I get max limits on the Browns?
Just call me.
Tough crowd.
Tough crowd, Joey. What the heck?
Yeah, I'm sitting this one out.
For the sake of time, we'll go straight to the college football, our big finale, and that is Ohio State, who is currently +250 on the money line, taking on Roll Tide. Mr. Nick Saban going for his 7th national championship. Going to pass the bear if he does. -300 is the money line. Dave Mason from Bet Online. Where do you have the odds and the money moving on this?
Alabama currently 8-point favorites. The money line's -290, +245. The over/under a healthy 75. The public's on Bama. About 75% of the cash so far is on Alabama minus the points. A lot of that's come in with all this COVID stuff as well. Sharp action is on Alabama as well, -6.5 and -7.
Joey, are you on Roll Tide here?
Only if I wear the hat. No, I got no Alabama hats. I got an Alabama shirt. And the last time I wore a hat, it was a Jets hat, an NFL team, and they lost the next 12. So
Don't bet Tampa Bay.
Yeah, there you go.
So, Matt, what do you got here on this college football championship?
I honestly don't have anything. Not yet, at least. I may have something later. Currently, it's a hard game. Ohio State, I think they've been undervalued all year.
8-Ball, have you got something on it? I'm sorry, Matt, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Good at 8-Ball.
8-Ball, have you got something on it?
No move on this one yet.
Philly Godfather, you got Roll Tide, or you got Ohio State here, Mr. Justin Fields. The boy was, boy, he's a grown man. He's a boy when you're 54 years old, as Joey likes to point out very much. He was obviously shot up at halftime quite well because he came out of that second half like nothing's wrong with him. I'm not sure how long that shot's going to last throughout the rest of the week. Who you got here, Philly Godfather?
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean, this was Ohio State against Clemson was one of my hold on to your nutsack moves. We bet them on the money line, took them plus the points, but with a banged up quarterback, I can't bet them this week. It's Alabama or nobody for me.
Billy Rooster, have you got somebody on this game?
Yeah, I kind of lean dog. I mean, if you look back over the last few years in the championship game, Alabama, they haven't performed like I expected them to perform. Now, I know this is a great team, but I think this is going to be a competitive game. I'm kind of hoping they get their wish and they push this game back a little bit. I'm kind of hoping the same thing on the Cleveland game. then I might change my position on it. But yeah, I kind of lean Ohio State here. Nothing big. I didn't even bet it yet. But if this game keeps creeping up, I'm going to be on the dog.
Harry, I don't know what Justin Fields was shot up with at halftime, but I'd like a full big bottle of it.
Oh yeah, me
Yeah,
too.
and-
Me too.
Alabama took their foot off the gas in that second half against Notre Dame, and they got backdoored, as did I. But they're going to have it through the floorboard in this game, and they're going to need it. Like you guys said, Fields is banged up. You don't know how he will react, but he played his Super Bowl last week against Clemson. I can't imagine him coming back and playing a similar type of game, and I think he will have to do it. Bama has just too much in my view. Ohio State's defense surrendered almost 500 yards to Indiana a couple of weeks ago. Now, I know it's a better Indiana team than they normally have, but Indiana isn't close to Alabama. This is the best Alabama offense that I've seen under Nick Saban. They just got pros all over the place. As we saw, and I saw Waddle. It may even be available in this game. I don't know that he plays, and if he does, if it's more of an inspirational thing, but I don't think they're going to need him. The big matchup on defense for Alabama, if they have Surtain against Olave, I don't know that Olave is going to get off. He's not a very physical receiver. He's super talented and fast, but Surtain is a pro lockdown corner. I like Alabama. I've already laid 7.
Yeah, this is one of those games where you might want to wait and bet it live. I mean, it's widely available now. If Fields comes out and it looks like nothing's bothering him, well, then this is going to be a lot closer game than most people think.
Well, there you have it, guys. There is the entire NFL playoff season broke down. The game week 1, the college football playoffs, UFC, and golf starting back up in the beautiful state of Hawaii. I'm John Layfield for Mr. Joey Oddessa, for Mr. Swing It and Ding It Harry Mays, for the legend, the Philly Godfather, for the Philly Rooster with his glass of wine, and the 8 Ball and Matt Naltepes from the College Kids. Thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget our YouTube channel. Follow the action. Also, all types of tips and exclusive info. Have a great week. Good luck.